I saw someone standing inside my safe house. Not outside, not near the window. Inside, right in the middle of the living room. The worst part is I had locked every door myself. I checked them 3 times before sleeping. Front door, back door, garage door. All locked, all barricaded. I even pushed the couch against the hallway entrance. Because I wasn't afraid of the infected anymore. Not really. The infected are loud. They scratch. They moan. They break windows. You know when they're coming. People are different. People are quiet. That night I woke up because the house was too silent. No rain. No wind. No dead wandering outside. Nothing. I opened my eyes and stared at the ceiling for a while, trying to understand what felt wrong. Then I heard the floor creak downstairs. One time. Just one soft creak. I held my breath. For almost a minute nothing else happened. Then another creak. Closer to the stairs. I grabbed the screwdriver from under my pillow and sat up slowly. I didn't keep a gun near the bed anymore. Guns make you brave. Brave gets you killed. The stairs were outside my bedroom door. Old wooden stairs. Loud if you stepped on the wrong board. I knew every sound in that house by then. I knew which windows rattled during wind. I knew which pipe clicked at night. I knew how the floor sounded when I walked through the hallway. And I knew that creak. Somebody was downstairs. I stood there in the dark, barefoot, screwdriver in my hand, listening. Then I heard breathing. Not from outside, not from the street, from below me. Slow breathing, controlled breathing, somebody trying not to be heard. I moved toward the bedroom door and opened it just enough to see the stairs. The living room downstairs was dark, but the moonlight coming through the boards on the window gave me just enough to see shapes. The couch, the table, the kitchen counter, and a person standing in the living room, facing the stairs, facing me. I didn't move. I couldn't. The figure was completely still. Too still. At first I thought it was a zombie. One of them somehow got inside and froze there. But zombies don't stand like that. They sway. They twitch. They make noise. This thing was silent. Then it raised one hand. Slowly, like it was waving. I slammed the bedroom door shut and locked it. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped the screwdriver. For a few seconds nothing happened. Then the floor creaked again, at the bottom of the stairs. Then the first step. Then the second. Slow. Patient. It was coming upstairs. I backed away from the door. The bedroom window was my only way out. I kept a sheet rope hidden behind the dresser for exactly this reason. If the house was surrounded I could climb out. If something got inside I could run. I pulled the dresser away from the window as quietly as I could, but old wood is never quiet. The moment it scraped against the floor the footsteps stopped, halfway up the stairs. I froze. Then a voice from the hallway whispered, "You're loud, Dot." It sounded like a man. Young maybe. Tired. Almost normal. That made it worse. I didn't answer. I tied the sheet rope to the bed frame and opened the window. Cold air rushed into the room. The street below was empty. No infected. No cars moving. No people. Just fog across the road and a few dead bodies near the mailbox. I was halfway out the window when something knocked on the bedroom door. Not hard. Not angry. Just two quiet knocks. Then the voice said, "I'm not here for your food." I stopped. That sentence made no sense. A raider would want food. A survivor would want shelter. A sick person might want help. But this voice sounded like none of those things. I stayed on the window ledge, one hand gripping the sheet rope, waiting. Then the voice said, "I'm here because you stayed too long." I climbed down immediately. The second my feet touched the ground, the bedroom window slammed shut above me. Hard. I looked up. The curtains moved. Somebody was standing behind them, watching me from my own bedroom. I ran into the trees behind the house, not toward the road. Roads get you killed. I stayed low behind the fence and watched the safe house from the dark. Nothing moved. No lights turned on. No infected came. The house looked exactly the same as it always did. Quiet. Empty. Safe. That word felt stupid now. Safe house. There's no such thing in Knox County. Only places that haven't betrayed you yet. I stayed in the woods until sunrise. When the sky turned gray, I went back. I know that sounds insane, but all my supplies were inside. My water, my food, my shotgun, my maps, everything. I told myself whoever it was had probably left. Maybe it was a desperate survivor. Maybe he found a way in. Maybe he was more scared of me than I was of him. That's what I told myself, because I needed it to be true. The back door was still locked. The front door was still barricaded. The garage door was untouched. The couch was still against the hallway entrance. Nothing was broken. Nothing was missing. But something was different. The living room table had been moved. Just a little. A few inches to the left. And on the table there was a note. Not paper. Not a notebook page. A piece of wallpaper torn from somewhere in the house. The message was written in pencil. 3 words. You sleep deeply. I stared at it for a long time. Then I checked every room. Kitchen. Bathroom. Garage. Closets. Bedroom. Nobody. No footprints. No broken boards. No open windows. The house was empty, but the bedroom smelled wrong. Like wet clothes. Like somebody had stood there for hours. I packed everything I could carry. I should have left right then. But I made another mistake. I wanted to know how he got in. That question was poison. It kept me there. I checked the walls, the vents, the attic hatch, the crawl space under the kitchen. Nothing. The house had no basement, no hidden rooms, no tunnels, no loose boards, no way in, except the doors. And the doors were locked from the inside. That afternoon I found something behind the bedroom mirror. A small mark scratched into the wall. Not words, not a symbol I understood, just 4 vertical lines, like someone counting days. I moved the mirror completely. There were more marks behind it. Dozens. Maybe hundreds. Some old, some fresh. And underneath them, written very small, was another message. Don't look for the door. I stepped back from the wall. The room suddenly felt smaller. I don't know how else to explain it. Like the house was leaning toward me. Like every wall knew something I didn't. I left before dark. This time I took the shotgun. I walked 2 miles north and slept inside an abandoned pickup truck near the edge of town. I didn't sleep much, but nothing happened. No footsteps, no voice, no figure watching from the trees. By morning I almost felt stupid again. Maybe I had imagined part of it. Maybe lack of sleep was finally catching up with me. But when I opened the truck door, there was mud on the ground outside. Fresh footprints. Barefoot, circling the truck, round and round, at least 20 times. And on the windshield, written with 1 finger through the dirt, were 2 words. Too far. I didn't go back to the safe house. I kept moving. For the next week I changed places every night. A gas station, a storage unit, a church office, a trailer behind a warehouse. I never stayed anywhere twice. I never slept in a bedroom. I never slept near windows. But the signs kept appearing. A chair facing my sleeping bag, a door left open, a cupboard I knew I closed, a mirror turned toward the wall, small things, quiet things, things that made me question my memory. That was the worst part. The infected make you afraid of dying. This made me afraid of myself. On the 8th night I found another survivor. His name was Daniel. At least that's what he said. He was hiding in a bookstore near Muldraff. Thin, dirty, carrying a crowbar and a backpack full of canned beans. I didn't trust him. He didn't trust me. That was normal. But he had a fire going in the back room, and I was cold. So we talked, quietly, for hours. He told me he lost his brother near West Point. I told him I was moving north. I didn't tell him about the man inside my house. Not at first. Then Daniel asked me something that made my stomach turn. He said, "Have you ever come back to a place and found things move?" I looked at him. He didn't look back. He just kept staring at the fire. Then he said, "Like someone was living there while you were gone." I asked him what happened. He shook his head. He said it started with notes, then sounds, then footsteps. Then one night he woke up and saw his brother standing in the corner of the room, except his brother had been dead for 9 days. I didn't say anything after that. Neither did he. The fire cracked between us. Outside, the infected wandered somewhere in the street. Then we heard the back door open. Both of us stood up at the same time. Daniel raised his crowbar. I raised the shotgun. The bookstore was dark except for the fire. Rows of shelves made long shadows across the floor. Something moved near the front counter. Slowly. Daniel whispered, "Don't talk to it." I asked him what it was. He didn't answer. Then the voice came from the darkness. The same voice from my safe house. Calm. Tired. Almost kind. "You found another one." Daniel's face changed. Like all the blood left him at once. He whispered, "No." The voice continued, "You never stay alone for long." I aimed the shotgun toward the front counter. I couldn't see anything. just darkness between shelves. Then a book fell to the floor, then another, then another.